Can turmeric help to reduce your insulin levels? Hi friends, do you wonder if you would benefit with turmeric, curcumin, or both? In this video, we will review the health benefits of turmeric spice, turmeric extract, and curcumin, who may benefit, how to best take it, and to see how this herb stacks up to multi-billion-dollar big pharma drugs. So the next time you go to the grocery store, look for some turmeric in the food aisles. It's a powerful herb found in dry powder in your spice aisle or as a fresh root in the produce section, probably next to its cousin ginger. They look almost identical, except that when you pry open the turmeric, when you break it apart, it's actually orange, whereas ginger is kind of a bland yellow. Turmeric is used to season delicious cuisines around the world for over 4,000 years. And its roots began in India. It was traded around the globe. It's used as a food for seasoning and as an herb to prevent and treat a variety of human illnesses. It's legit. There's over 27,000 scientific publications on turmeric, turmeric extract, or curcumin, and no one would waste this amount of time on an herb if it didn't work. However, drug companies and naysayers would claim that we just don't have enough large clinical trials to prove it. So maybe these multi-billion-dollar companies should put up the funding to pay society back for the multi-billion dollars that we have spent treating the side effects of prescription medications. Just to be clear, I'm not anti-medicine. I use them all the time in my practice when I have no safer option. My goal is to reduce adverse reactions and side effects. And really that is the job of every medical doctor, and that separates us from other healthcare professions. And that's why we provide service in critical care hospitals. So let's take a look at specific diseases either turmeric, turmeric extract, or curcumin has shown benefit. And these studies will be small because there's not much funding in it. Herbs are not part of big pharma's agenda. In fact, turmeric is their competition. But this ancient low-cost plant and its derivative, turmeric extract and curcumin, is quite impressive and can stand on its own when compared to multi-billion-dollar big pharma drugs. Remember, turmeric is not patentable, right? You can grow it, I can grow it. Here are some reported benefits from adding some turmeric to your daily regimen. So let's start with osteoarthritis. This is the most common form of arthritis affecting 300 million people worldwide from supposedly wear and tear. But we now know that wear and tear is really from inflammation, and that can come from your diet. Being obese, having diabetes, having high cholesterol, or atherosclerosis all increases your risks of getting osteoarthritis. Now, if you went to your provider today, you would be given pills called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, or maybe offered some steroid injections. Both come with a number of horrible side effects. Turmeric capsules of 500 milligrams of curcuminoids taken twice a day appear to work better than doing nothing. And it's not surprising that 1,500 milligrams of turmeric extract, it actually worked just as well as ibuprofen in controlling pain. Now, since then, there are lots of studies that showed turmeric could be superior to NSAIDs in pain control because these studies use turmeric extracts with many curcuminoids and not just curcumin. But the problem is there's really no standard dose. It ranges from 180 milligrams in Japan to 1,500 milligrams a day in India. So why is that? Well, to be fair, it's probably because turmeric in different parts of the world isn't the same, right? And remember, turmeric has over 100 ingredients in one root. Turmeric grown by your local farmer is not the same as commercialized big agro turmeric, and it's not going to be the same here as in Japan, as in India. Different soil, different climates confer different nutrients, even different bugs, right? They poop different things. And this problem exists with all our modern commercialized food. So whether you buy fresh turmeric, turmeric spice, turmeric extract, or you buy turmeric sold as a supplement, the quantity of curcuminoids may affect its efficacy. Then there's a second problem, and that's a problem of absorption. And I'm going to address these issues later in this video as well. But collectively, these studies demonstrate turmeric can help reduce pain. And I think the greatest benefit of turmeric is that it reduces the side effects caused by prescription drugs or by over-the-counter drugs. by simply reducing drug use. Naysayers will point out that it doesn't reduce the root cause of osteoarthritis, which is inflammation, and they measure this by fluid in the joints. Well, first of all, osteoarthritis doesn't happen overnight. We know you can't get cartilage back once it's gone. Second, fluid is a symptom of arthritis and not the root cause. And that's why when you give steroids, even though it reduces fluid, it doesn't reverse osteoarthritis. And on top of that, you get whopping doses of bone destruction and other metabolic problems. And this is a mistake many people tend to make. They confuse the symptoms of inflammation with the root causes of inflammation. If you don't treat the underlying problems like obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, atherosclerosis, you're not going to improve your osteoarthritis. And this is where turmeric shines again. It's been shown to improve metabolism, reduce inflammation, which are all root causes of these diseases that I just listed. But there's several paths to destruction, and that includes insulin resistance. You need to control your insulin by controlling your blood sugars, because excess insulin causes inflammation and makes you gain weight. Can turmeric help to reduce your insulin levels? Yep, by reducing your appetite. And when you do eat, if you eat turmeric, it also helps to reduce your inflammation. And when you have more fat, the fat cells itself keeps secreting inflammatory signals to drive more osteoarthritis. It's also found that fat cells actually can live in the joints and can trigger this inflammation as well. Besides obesity and diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that's another metabolic disease that is associated with insulin resistance. So inflammatory markers for these diseases can also improve when people take turmeric. You should also not be surprised to hear that when people take turmeric for fatty liver, that their inflammatory markers also improve. And that's not all. Turmeric actually has been shown to reduce vascular inflammation. As if you were exercising, turmeric has some very promising results in dementia as well, and a variety of cancers, as well as the ability to better recover from surgeries. Now, I can hear naysayers wanting more proof that the current meta-analysis of scientifically published papers are just too small. And it's really not only too small, but too short in time to advocate for turmeric. Well, first of all, it's not like turmeric is a new kid on the block, right? And it's not like it's untested in people. It's been created by God and used by people for 4,000 years. So just because we don't have a randomized, large controlled trial that hasn't been invented, because people didn't do that in the old days, they just kind of watched people eat and live. Whoever lived, who lived better, they just kind of copied them. This is not how we sell drugs these days, right? We have to create multi-million-dollar drug studies to sell multi-billion-dollar drugs. Where have these drugs gotten us? I mean, these drugs have gotten us a lot of side effects. So these multi-trillion-dollar drugs really have gotten racked up multi-billion-dollar bills because we're all just trying to combat side effects. And eating turmeric, I mean, just a teaspoon of turmeric a day is so cheap. It can spice up your food and can potentially improve your health and be just about side effect free unless you're allergic to it. Has Big Pharma ever proven to reverse arsenic toxicity? Arsenic is deadly, causing inflammation and oxidative stress, destroying your DNA and causing people cancer. And so, but who's gonna volunteer for a arsenic trial? Yep, not me. I don't think you would either. However, people around the world are involuntarily getting arsenic poisoning. And they do this by drinking polluted water or food grown in contaminated water like fish. In the 1970s, UNICEF thought they were saving millions of lives by going to Bangladesh and burying these tube wells. They buried like 900,000 tube wells in the ground to bring 70 million villagers clean water. Well, unfortunately, nobody tested the water for arsenic until 1993, over 20 years later. And by that time, it was too late. 47 million people were exposed to arsenic at toxic concentrations daily for like 2 decades. Thousands of people developed arsenicosis. That's basically arsenic poisoning. And needless to say, the villagers and the government, they were PO'd. So what happens when you get arsenicosis? Well, this is not an invisible disease. You will have hard lesions on your hands. Basically, your skin will have dark spots. You can see them on your hands and your feet as well as everywhere else, but your hands and the feet are generally lighter, and that's why they're more evident. You will lose your ability to feel because arsenic damages your nerves. And long term, these lesions turn into skin cancers. That's only the tip of the iceberg. That's what you see on the outside. Imagine what's happening inside. So inside of a person who gets arsenic poisoning, basically, the arsenic hijacks your body's ability to repair, and they get lung cancer, bladder cancer, kidney cancer, heart and lung failure, and die. Specifically, it hijacks your glutathione redox system, the system that detoxifies your body. It mutates your genes, and it destroys your proteins. Now, really, there is no known cure for arsenic poisoning, and quote, UNICEF on its pages still states people can recover more rapidly from skin lesions when they eat nutritious foods or take multivitamin supplements. So right there is no big pharma drug, but there are multivitamin supplements and there's food that can help repair you from arsenic poisoning. Now, arsenic poisoned people were given 500 milligrams of curcumin with black pepper twice a day for 3 months. And guess what happened? They measured their blood at the start of the study, and they measured the blood at the end of the study. And in 3 months, their DNA damage and their protein damage was reversed by turmeric capsules. Now, arsenic is not just a third world country disease, folks. We have arsenic here in our US food supply, so we do need to be careful. It is believed curcumin, of all the different things in turmeric, has the most biological activity, but that doesn't mean that ground up turmeric wouldn't work. Considering the fact that millions of Bangladeshi people were exposed, but not everyone got arsenic poisoning, should make you wonder, what did those people who didn't get poisoning but still drank the same water, what did they do? We know that people in Bangladesh, they do eat turmeric, and maybe those who didn't get arsenicosis were better nourished and ate more turmeric. I really don't know the answer, but that would just be my guess. If you have 100 ingredients in the test tube, that's not a way that you can actually figure out what substance is most active. And this is why clinical trials try to, go down to just one ingredient, because then you can determine cause and effect. But that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. And who has that time or money? So this is why I don't discount the other 100 plus ingredients in turmeric. That's not just curcumin. Keep in mind, people eat turmeric, they don't eat curcumin, and they've eaten turmeric for thousands of years. Curcumin has not withstood the test of time, but it has outpublished turmeric simply because it's an easier model to study. And of course, there's a factor of money. It is a concentrated ingredient. Just like morphine from opium and aspirin from the willow tree, people want to hit gold and turn curcumin into the next billion-dollar industry, just like they did with aspirin and morphine. However, when you concentrate ingredients, be careful. You concentrate not only the benefits, but you can concentrate the side effects. Now, I'm not one to just do what the herd does, but when it comes to food and nutrition, I look for the biggest herd that survived generations. I've come to realize that science is just way too slow, and I'll be dead in the grave before they prove exactly what I should do to live my life. So I look for trends. I call them the global people's choice of trends for evidence. Basically, I review the literature and see which civilizations have lived the longest in their lifestyle and passed on that lifestyle from generation to generation to generation. So I'm looking for longevity. I'm not gonna trust small groups. So fad cravings just don't work for me. It makes no sense to me. And I'm not gonna eat like a lion just because you're doing it, or eat like a rabbit just because you're doing it, because lions and rabbits, they don't live very long. But turmeric, on the other hand, has been around for 4,000 years and for countless generations, and millions of tons are produced every year and consumed globally. So to me, it seems pretty safe if we have hundreds of millions of people eating it over time. Countries with the highest consumption of turmeric also have the lowest dementia rates. Now, I don't know if it's cause and effect, but it can't hurt. But modern science is beginning to find that maybe adding some turmeric can actually help your memory. I think it's only a matter of time before science catches up and proves cause and effect, but it may not be in my lifetime. Turmeric, we know, reduces inflammation, it improves your metabolism, and hence it affects everything in your entire body. So how can you take it? Now, it depends on what you want to take. If you want to take curcumin as a supplement, turmeric extract, turmeric spice, or fresh turmeric. So curcumin is one curcuminoid extracted from turmeric. It is one ingredient that everybody's excited about because has shown to have a lot of biological activity. But remember, turmeric has over 100 ingredients. They're called polyphenols. They include other curcuminoids besides curcumin. And curcumin was it's just simply the first ingredient that was purified out about 200 years ago. And it was actually discovered to be an antibiotic in 1949, but nobody cared about it, right? I mean, at that time we had tuberculosis, salmonella, staphylococcus killing people, but it wasn't really explored until 50 years later. So you can buy curcumin as a supplement. The next supplement you can buy is a turmeric extract. That has curcumin as well as the other curcuminoids. And curcumin by itself, it doesn't have that. Usually, turmeric extract has about 95% curcumin. Pure turmeric powder, or basically spice, has less curcumin and usually has about 3%. Fresh turmeric root, because of the water and the fiber, would have even less than that. Now, despite being the superstar curcumin, I actually prefer turmeric extract because I want the benefit of the other curcuminoids as well as the polyphenols. So I take a turmeric extract daily that is mixed in a combination multivitamin. If you're interested in what I take, I have a link in the video description below. When you take turmeric spice or turmeric, unless you eat it with some fat or you heat it up, your absorption is actually quite limited. But together, all forms of turmeric can activate your gut microbiome, which is a powerful way to reduce inflammation and really unrecognized, simply because we don't have a good way to measure it. We know that people who take curcumin or turmeric extracts, even though they're poorly absorbed, they actually still have benefit. They reduce symptoms like pain and they improve inflammatory markers. So if you don't absorb it, then you have another hurdle. It doesn't actually get in your bloodstream and we can't measure curcumin directly. I think there's two problems. Number one is absorption, and number second, your liver is just breaking down curcumin and curcuminoids quite quickly. And this is where black pepper comes in handy. I'm sure you've heard that you take it with black pepper. It actually increases your body's ability to retain curcumin and curcuminoids by 2,000-fold. Now, it does it by inhibiting liver enzymes. So you can imagine that the black pepper, the active ingredient is piperine, and piperine also causes other drug interactions. So you have to be careful if you're on any seizure medications like Dilantin or carbamazepine, if you're on blood thinning drugs like warfarin or aspirin or clopidogrel, or if you're on blood pressure medications like propranolol, or if you're on stomach acid medications like omeprazole. I think also ranitidine and famotidine can also cause this interaction with piperine. And this is why I prefer to increase my turmeric absorption through a safer way called bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme purified from pineapple. It doesn't have those known drug interactions that piperine has. And that's why the supplement that I created, NACPro Plus, has both bromelain and turmeric extract together. And again, if you're interested, I have a link in the description below. Since curcumin is currently the gold standard to measure turmeric quality, ideally you want turmeric spice with high curcumin. So I searched the internet for studies that analyze curcumin concentrations in turmeric spice and found that turmeric powder made in the United States actually had the highest curcumin concentration. McCormick's had 3% and Tones had 2%. Now, you can usually find one or the other brand in your local grocery store. So if you want to take 500 milligrams of curcumin, you really have to take, let's say if you have McCormick's, you have to take a teaspoon of McCormick's. That'll give you 150 milligrams of curcumin, and consuming 3.5 teaspoons would give you about 500 milligrams of curcumin. Now, personally, I just simply sprinkle it on my food when I eat, but you have to sprinkle quite a bit to get to those levels. And so this is where, if you want to do what they do in clinical trials, you're going to have to take a turmeric extract or some turmeric supplement, and this is why I take it in supplemental form. But if you want to take a purified curcumin as a supplement, then you should know that really high concentrations of curcumin come with potential side effects. Curcumin is a blood thinner, and you should be very cautious because if you're already on a blood thinner, you will bleed more easily. Especially if you're on prescription blood thinners, but even over the counter, such as aspirin or NSAIDs, can have the same problem. Curcumin can also stimulate your gallbladder. So if you have gallstones, if you have, cholecystitis, it's not going to make you happier. It's actually going to make your symptoms worse. Super high doses have also been reported to elevate liver enzymes. So it's really important that you don't just eat turmeric, that you eat a variety of superfoods. And if you want to learn about another superfood, watch the next video.